Hey, welcome back, Adventure Crew. Today's adventure leads us under the hood of our 2012 Volkswagen Beetle. So recently we've noticed a little bit of noise coming from the timing chain area of this engine. And during our last oil change, we spotted a hint of glitter in the oil. So that leads us to a couple of options. We could just replace the timing chain and its components, button her back up and head on down the road. But that leads into question, where is the metal shavings coming from? So we don't know the condition of the internals of this engine. So we've made the decision that we're just going to pull this engine and replace it with a used low-mile engine because we think that's the best bet for reliability for more adventures to come. Under here. And lays on the engine. Okay, this harness, when it goes back in, it's going to go under here, and see this thing with this loop in it right here I'm pointing at? It goes underneath that as well before it comes up over here. Okay? Okay. All right, guys, we're just checking back in with an update on how the progress is going. We've started by removing all the things that are in the way to get to access to the engine. So we've got the headlights, the front bumper, the crash bar, the battery, a lot of the electrical accessories over there have been removed, and we're just making sure that we've got enough access so when we get the motor out, we've got room for it. So we'll work on that and check back in a minute. All right, and here we got a quick update. As you can see, there is no motor in the Beetle. We've got a new one right here. This is the used one we got from a donor car. And this is the one we're taking out. And now we have to go over them and see which components need to be swapped to where. And do the upgrades we got to do to this before we put it in. And get that ready to go, and then we'll be looking at installing it. But that's where we are at the moment. So this is the valve cover off on the engine I'm taking out of the car. This is the valve cover off of the engine I'm putting in the car. Okay, we got the oil pan off. This is the bottom of the engine. Oil pickup tube right there. Everything looks pretty clean. The oil pan had been dented up, so we took it off to replace it with a new one. Good time to inspect the internals. Looks pretty good. Okay. All right, filming a quick update. Motor's back in the car, transmission's in. A lot of the accessories and stuff are in. The front of the car is still not on. We're about to add coolant, oil, things like that. And we're gonna run her for a non-firing spin to make sure we prime the oil system before we go much farther. So now we're going to crank it over with no spark plugs in it to get the oil system primed. One more time. Sounds pretty good. You can really hear that secondary air pump when there's no rest of the engine running. All right, we're going to be installing a fresh set of Bosch plugs. Here's the part number for all those who are curious. All right, going for the first attempt to start. Crank it up. All right, and you're joining us as we're doing our first shakedown run in the Beetle after we did the engine swap. Everything seems to be running just fine. It's nice and smooth, starts really easy. No hesitation on acceleration or anything. We're out here on this gravel road seeing if we can't see if anything's loose or if I forgot to tighten anything, or maybe we'll rattle something loose on this road. But anyway, engine swap seems to be a success. So speaking of rattling things apart, we managed to rattle a hose off the heater core. Insert picture here. So one of those hoses came apart and we lost all our coolant. And we found a guy who was kind enough to top us off with water, and we looked in there and thought that the fitting had broken. But once we got to safety, we found out it had just come detached. So we put it back on, reset the clips, and then flushed and refilled the coolant system with the proper coolant. And everything seems to be good since then. And here we are back in the Beetle. We've got about 125 miles on the engine swap so far on shakedown runs and testing. And I'm happy to say that everything seems to be running great. We're getting good mileage. Temperatures are staying where they're supposed to. I think it has a little bit more beans than it used to have, which is a nice plus. But overall, I'm pretty sure we're ready to call this engine swap complete.